Hi, you thinking about changing your spark plugs? Um, do you know what spark plugs to put in your vehicle? Well, one of the basic things I do is check the workshop manual and see what it recommends. Usually in this day and age, the manual will tell you what spark plugs work best with your vehicle, with your bike or your car. Some vehicles are designed to run on iridium plugs. Some of them run quite happily on copper core plugs. Some of them you can run on copper, platinum or iridium. Just depends how much you want to spend. So what's the difference between the plugs? Well, you've got your copper plug. Your copper plug's probably the cheapest spark plug you'll get. It's the core inside is made of copper. Copper's a great conductor of electric, and it also runs a lot cooler than the other plugs. So copper core's quite a good plug to use. If you go up the scale a wee bit, the next one is platinum. So your platinum plug, instead of having a copper core, it has a platinum core. And the platinum core is quite good. The metal's a hell of a lot stronger than what copper is, so it'll last a lot longer. It runs hotter as well because it is a harder metal. It won't wear as much as copper, so you'll get a lot more miles on it. And then you've got iridium. Iridium's probably the top spark plug price-wise. You'll pay through the nose for them. But people like putting them in because it means you don't have to change your spark plugs as often, which is a good thing. The iridium plugs are, the metal's like eight times stronger than what the platinum is. So it means they're not going to wear out as quick. They do run hot like the platinum. And yeah, they're a good plug. They're a good plug. You can get a lot of Ks out of them. So copper plugs, you're going to get 20 to 30,000 kilometres. Platinum, you're maybe going to get 50 to 60,000 kilometres. But then your iridium plugs, you get anywhere from 90 to 100,000. Now, that's what they reckon you'll get, the manufacturers reckon you'll get from these plugs. Whether you will get 100,000, I don't know. I don't know if I'd let my vehicle go that far with the same plugs on it, to be quite honest. But whatever plugs you use, check your manual and see what it's supposed to take. And I'll explain a bit about pricing and what's best value, because like the KTM here, the 1290 Super Adventure, great bike, but you see, to change your spark plugs, you've got to take all this cowling off, you've got to take the tank off. Then once you get to the top of the engine, you've got to take the air filter out, you've got to take the whole airbox out, you've got to move all the cables out the way, just to get into the spark plugs. And then once you get into the plugs, you've got to be able to get them out. It's not always as easy as it looks on the old KTM to do the plugs. So they recommend iridium plugs. So when I got the bike, when it was at 20,000 Ks, I did a service and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the plugs out and just see what they're like. And they were fine. But I put new ones in, seeing as I was in there. So that was at 20,000. So realistically, the bike should get me to 120 before it's due any plugs again. Can't see that happening, like, but however. So, but you do pay through the nose for them. Something like the Goldwing, you can get into the plugs very easy here. 2 bolts, that cover comes off and you're into the plugs. And you can get them changed. So something like that, would you need to go for iridium? If you wanted to change your plugs so that you weren't having to change them every 20 to 30,000 Ks, you could put in platinum or you could put in iridium, but check the manufacturer's guide on what plugs it takes, because maybe it won't take iridium. I don't really know. I'm not sure. I've not done the plugs in the Goldwing yet. But yeah, it just depends what the manufacturer recommends. Some of the older vehicles, they like to run on copper. Like if you're talking about 60s, 70s, 80s, some of the 90s vehicles, they prefer running on copper plugs. They won't run on platinum or iridium. They just don't run properly. Because they don't give as good a spark. Like they need the copper core to give a better spark. They won't run they don't have enough power to power iridium or platinum plugs, and that's why they run on copper. But most modern vehicles, a lot of vehicles, it's recommended iridium plugs or platinum plugs, and some of them still recommend copper. But if you look at your manual, it'll tell you, it'll probably give you, you know, the code for your copper core plug and the code for your iridium, so the choice is up to you. But it's worth having a look at just what you can get. But the thing is, everybody seems to think you pierce through the nose for iridium plug, so you're getting the best plug. It's the best, you know, your bike's going to run at best. You know, I've heard people say to me, I always put in iridium because it runs best. Well, no, it doesn't. Copper conducts better. A bike or a car will run better on copper plugs. It gets a proper, better spark than what it does on iridium. And people, you know, they swear, oh yeah, it does run better. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Copper is the best conductive metal in a spark plug. The only good thing about iridium is you're paying because of the you're paying because of the length that the plug will last. The kilometres, I couldn't even say the word there. So yeah, it's quite interesting, but there you go. And that's spark plugs for you. I mean, you know. Then you've got all your other stuff you need to look into. What oil will it take? That's a subject we'll get onto at a later date. What sort of oil should I put in my vehicle? What grades? What does it mean, the different grades, you know? But certainly spark plugs, yeah. Stick by your workshop manual or your manufacturer's manual and see what it says. And put in what's recommended. Because if you don't put in what's recommended, might not run as well, and then you wonder why you're misfiring and backfiring and losing power and things like that. But yeah, go by your manufacturer's recommendations. Usually, if you're putting in iridium or that, it's very rarely you have to change them. If you put in copper, you change them more often. And you can tell when it starts to go, it starts misfiring, it doesn't run right, it might be using more fuel, whatever. But yeah. Anyway, that's it. I'll speak to you later. Bye.